Thank you for joining me today, Sandeep. Welcome to Revenue Beacon with Prasant.
Thank you, Prasant. Thanks for calling me here. I'm really honored to be here.
The pleasure is all mine because you bring a wealth of experience when it comes to digital marketing, and you bring a lot of those areas where there is a scope to grow for all the digital marketers, right? So let's start with your recent TEDx talk. It created quite a buzz considering your extensive background across various media sectors. Let's start with some of the insights from that session and gradually build this up.
Sure. So the talk was mainly on disruption. We are talking about disruption happening in various facets of life, and we are also seeing AI coming in a very big way. One of the things that we see most students fear a lot with AI, and that is something I do encourage them not to do that. Because AI is here to enable us and support us rather than, fearing what AI is. And, the biggest example for us in terms of automation and AI is the government of India today. I have talked about UPI coming in a very big way. Not only UPI, along with that RuPay credit card. Today, anyone can go to a vegetable vendor and actually purchase vegetables with a credit card through UPI. Right? So this kind of enablement that the Indian ecosystem has today, it is unseen in the global environment as well. And India is a country with very unique problems. The problems which are being solved in India today are not even present in the global environment. Like we are used to 10 minutes deliveries with quick e-commerce coming in. We are used to UPI and the payment ecosystem has become so easy. I also gave an example about, while we order, say, a misal pav or a vada pav in Maharashtra, even for paying additional power, we do pay through UPI, like a 3 rupee, 5 rupee, 10 rupee kind of a payment. But for the same payment in US, you get charged heavily just for inter transfers. So I was talking to students about, how this particular ecosystem is enabling us and how a lot of problems are getting solved. Like today, sitting at a particular place, you can send medicines to your parents at some other place, right? And this is what this particular problem UPI and the ecosystem is solving. Apart from that, ChatGPT also is enabling a lot of entrepreneurs. Today, one of the biggest cost for entrepreneurs is product guys or engineers or tech guys. And of course, you will understand that a lot because you are building your own platform today. Now, with ChatGPT and, AI coming in, that problem and that cost is getting reduced to quite an extent. Of course, you will need a particular senior person who will understand what to do with ChatGPT. But that problem is exactly getting solved where you don't need to hire a team of 100 people to build a particular app. Right. So I think that not understanding AI, but the people who don't understand it. So I think acceptance is the biggest thing and willingness to change. The only factor which I spoke about in my TEDx as well is the changes are happening much faster. The second one took some years, but this revolution is taking days also sometimes. Like ChatGPT hit 1 million subscribers in like 5 days. Instagram took around a year to hit that number of subscribers. So things are happening much faster, and during the same time, we just need to accept that change and move along with it rather than resist it. So that's my humble request to all the students.
Yeah. But then this is an interesting point. We have heard this adage which says that what goes up fast comes down faster. And we saw that happening in case of ChatGPT when DeepSeek came. It was like a surprise, right? Everybody just jumped onto DeepSeek. Just when news came that it was built on a lower cost and better efficiency and all that. So the longevity of the platform is also going down. Do you see that?
No, longevity will not go down. So these are platforms which are basically enablers. Right now, after this, there are going to be applications built on these platforms. And also we are seeing a lot of companies like Salesforce building AI agents. What are AI agents? Basically, these are agents who will communicate with you on a regular basis, who will talk to you and understand your problem and then build a solution basis on that. So these particular facets are getting automated today. It's not just one particular application, or it's just that right now the buzz is too high and applications are limited. Once the application built in, this is typically the psychology of people. Whenever there is a buzz, they'll latch onto it. But when actually work is happening, they will forget about it, right? So, they need to ensure they learn this deeply. And for that, understanding coding languages like Python has become very critical. Understanding data tools like Power BI, Tableau is something that is very essential today. So we need to equip ourselves to all these technologies which are coming in and build on that.
Yeah, that's great to hear because basically it's like the early days of evolution when different parts were being built. For example, if you talk about automotive, probably a tire or engine, internals, the body, etc., are being created by different parties, but then they're going to come together at some point in a shape and form that everybody can start using. So it's like
Exactly.
wait it out and keep learning these skills so that you're ready when it becomes a proper usable.
Exactly. Exactly. It's just that people should involve themselves in some form of AI. Now, content creators have started using AI to create content. I have seen applications on, some astrology apps as well, where an astrologer is an AI tool, right? And they are giving you predictions basis on, and this is really working in India. All these concepts are really working in India because India is a market which believes in astrology. So there are different applications which are coming on. So that is very interesting to see how each market will adopt to it.
Yeah, it's making entry easier into the areas which were not explored that well.
Exactly.
Astrology is a perfect example. You have astrologers in an unorganized fashion, which are now
Yeah.
organized by certain apps and they are on that same platform. Newer ones are getting onboarded. Those who are learning for hobby are probably looking at a proper profession out of it.
Absolutely.
A lot is
Absolutely.
happening in this space. So
Yeah.
let's come to Geo Ads for a minute. So what is your charter at Geo Ads?
So basically, Jio Ads is a tool that we are building in. It's a tech platform. It is a somewhat platform that we are building on one side of the ecosystem. There are publishers, and the other side there's advertisers. For a layman, just to explain it, just like there is Ola Cabs. Now, Ola Cabs is a tech platform. On the one side of the ecosystem, there are cabs. On the other side, there are customers, right? Just for your audience is to understand it in a very simple term. So for us, the publishers will be internal publishers like Geo News, we have Geo TV, Geo TV Plus. External publishers would be Z, Sunnext, ShareChat. All these are our large publishers in the ecosystem. On the advertiser side, it would be internal as well as external advertisers like HUL, PNG. All these are, part of our advertising mix. And they get an opportunity to use Geo Telco data to target these particular ads. So that is something they can use. We can give them precise targeting. So they want to target a particular pin code, they want to target a particular area or interest of a person. So we layer that particular data and help them target these users.
So basically, you're operating at a diverse ecosystem, be it or OTT, be it e-commerce, gaming, those
Absolutely,
type of
absolutely.
different sides of the world. So does it require a lot of understanding of those domains? How is your team structured? Like,
So basically, I mean, definitely we implement our tech on these particular apps and we are able to find the right users which the advertiser want to target. Now, whether that particular user is available on Truecaller, which is one of our apps, or say Z. So wherever the user is consuming content, whether they are traveling, whether they are on a utility app, it doesn't matter where they are. But if the advertiser wants to target them in a particular manner, we help them reach to that user. So that's the layer that we are bridging for the advertiser and the user, and kind of allowing them to target that particular user. So supposingly you want to do pin code targeting. Supposingly you want to target some users in Andheri, around Andheri. So we'll allow you to target pin codes of Andheri and you can target that. So like Shopper Stops in Andheri, supposingly they want to advertise with us and they want to target a certain pin code around Andheri with an offer for Andheri users, right? So these are the kind of, technology we have come up with. Also, we have tools for SMB advertisers where they can upload a simple campaign via WhatsApp and kind of build a reach on our network. And with a small amount like 1,000 rupees, they can set up their campaign. We have case studies available on the LinkedIn Geo Ads page as well. Like Tatva was one of the advertisers where we have built a case study. So these are the advertisers which we are bringing onto the network.
right. So would you also walk me through some business aspect of this ad ecosystem? For example, margin across the publisher ecosystem must be a critical focus for you. So what type
Absolutely.
of strategies are you implementing to make sure that the relationship stays strong? Because in a way, you are challenging the existing setup of ads. For example, if we talk about, we can name them platforms like Google Ads, Meta targeting, and coming up with a very India specific. You talked about pin codes, right? This is
Yeah.
something which is very close to my heart because a lot of startups, they need that localized targeting within their area, build that community on that WhatsApp, right? Those type of.
Right.
So how are you building that relationship with your publishers?
So definitely, I mean, publishers are definitely very close to our ecosystem, and that is something at the heart of the ecosystem, right? And we are placing our tech, as I said, on each and every publisher. The commercial contracts with mostly publishers are a standardized revenue share, which we offer to all these publishers, and most of the terms are standard with most publishers. What we offer these publishers is unique demand, which comes from Jio Ads. Nowadays, most of the ecosystem in India is used to getting demand from only ad exchange or some of the large platforms. In fact, Amazon DSP also is growing really well in India. But what we offer to these publishers is unique demand coming in from Geo Ads. And that is what they really and these are demand because we layer data targeting on that. These are demand generally at a higher CPM, right? And publisher really enjoy that kind of additional revenue to their network, and which is why we have become a critical partner to most of the large OTTs in India, whether it is Z5, whether it's Sun Next. We work with MX Player. So we are definitely amongst the top 2 revenue contributing partners to most OTTs in India. And that's how we are adding on to their mix right now.
And the platforms that you have mentioned are very core to India, right? Because India is no longer into that 4 metros or 10 tier 1 cities. It's much deeper, and the deeper pockets are growing in that tier 3, tier 4 towns. And probably with these partnerships, you bring that audience for the advertiser.
In fact, most of our large advertisers that are spending with us don't target the top 4 metros. And that sometimes becomes a challenge because the major audiences keep coming in from top 4 metros. And we try to build our reach. And yes, these platforms, and it also depends a lot on content. Now, supposingly, there is a particular content which is, say, Jamtara series on, I'm just giving an example. It's not that we were targeting that, but say Jamtara series coming in, or some, a series coming in which is targeted to, say, Uttar Pradesh or Jharkhand. You will see a bit of jump in that audiences on that particular platform. So we analyze these trends on a day-to-day basis. We understand what content is getting released on a particular publisher at what point in time, and we ensure that those particular targeting and those particular campaigns are delivered on those publishers. So that is very important to understand where does the supply in the ecosystem come from. And this is particularly what our operations team manage on a day-to-day basis with publishers.
Yeah, because it's a very real time thing. The new series comes, you have to wait for the trends to emerge, that which area it is popping up, and then you have that real time collaboration with these publishers. That's amazing.
Absolutely.
So you are also credited for launching Outbrain and Zemanta into Indian market. Would you like to walk that journey through? How was it when you started, and how is the ecosystem now?
Yeah, so I mean, that point in time, the ecosystem was very interesting, I would say. I started the business of Outbrain in India in 2015. That point in time, the eCPM, the effective CPM to the publisher was very high because the users on the internet ecosystem were very low. Right. In 2015, I'm sure you remember, Jio Telco got launched, and the rates were crashed in terms of it got a lot of new users into the ecosystem. And that point in time, what happened? A lot of growth happened in the internet. And that we were able to see on our network. There used to be a concept of minimum guarantee where you, to secure a particular inventory to a publisher, we used to pay a minimum guarantee to a publisher that, you will not sell this inventory to anyone else. But after this phenomena of geo happening, the eCPMs dropped significantly because the page views of the publisher went up drastically. And because of that, what we did, especially in Outbrain, is we exited the minimum guarantee concept in India and we moved to a typical revenue share model. Then definitely there was a time where the ecosystem was getting diversified. So at a particular time, there were many platforms in India like Outbrain, Taboola, Columbia, there was MGIT, there was Rev Content. Now to counter this, we launched a DSP called Zementa. So basically within Zementa, there were most of these platforms integrated, right? So it was like if you remember, fund of fund concept in mutual fund, right? So it was like a DSP to and then Outbrain became an SSP to this particular platform. And there were a lot of tools available for agencies where they can build in their margins. They can also do a lot of things with which they were not able to do with Outbrain as a platform. So it was a very smart acquisition at that point in time. The Indian market expanded for us really well, and definitely I think we Outbrain has now set up the backend operations team in India as well, and the business continues to grow. But yeah, native advertising and news publishers as an ecosystem is something I personally saw declining because I don't know whether so there is cookie deprecation concept coming into play. where cookies are going to eventually get deprecated. Google has delayed it forever now. It's been many years, but eventually it's going to get deprecated, and which is why the web ecosystem is something which is going to eventually decline. And my request to most students, advertisers, marketers is to focus on the app ecosystem, and which is what I found with Jio as a business. Right, when I was entering the business, during my interviews also, I discussed that this is an ecosystem which is basically built on the app ecosystem. And this is something which is going to stay and build for a very long term, because once you have installed an app, you don't uninstall it, and then your traffic is not dependent on search or Facebook. Today, one of the things, if you go and check out Google Analytics of any web publisher, there are 30-40% traffic will be coming from search, that is SEO, and there are 30-40% traffic will be coming on Facebook.
Facebook, right?
And there was this publisher, I don't know whether you've heard about Wittyfeed.
No.
Now, Wittyfeed was one Indian publisher which was started by Stage founders. Stage was a startup, appeared in Shark Tank as well. One day, Facebook decided to switch off traffic to this particular site, and the entire traffic got slashed and the website got closed. So in one single day, the entire revenue of the website went from, say, thousands of dollars to zero. So to counter this, publishers need to build the app ecosystem. Now for them, definitely what happens is, because app ecosystem is B2C, to build that, they need to spend money. So many publishers are wary of spending money to build the B2C business. So they still, in their comfort zone, continue to build on their SEO and SEM business and social traffic. But it is eventually important that users download your apps, and which is why we saw growth of, aggregator platforms like Daily Hunt came in, News and Shorts came in, Way to News came in, which is why, because the regular publishers were not building their app ecosystem, these platforms came in and, built on that. So they said, okay, you're not building the app. We'll build the app for you. You just give us your content and we'll bring the traffic. And we saw a phenomenal growth in these platforms. So, as I said, someone fills the gap in the ecosystem, and tech, mainly a lot of publishers did not get it that time. And which is why we saw growth of these platforms. And these platforms continue to grow. Like Way to News is one of the platforms in Hyderabad, which is significantly growing. Daily Hunt still is a significant platform. News and Shorts again is a significant platform. So yeah, this trend is still there and it will continue.
Yeah, one thing that we can surely say about media landscape is it is forever changing.
Absolutely. Like every quarter, people tell me it's every year. I say no, it's every quarter, because every quarter we need to adopt. And but one thing good about this people who have adopted to this tech world is media people are more easily adaptable to AI than anyone else.
Yeah.
Because they have seen automation being implemented by Google and Facebook since 2008. For the world, AI will be a new phenomena, but for the people in media and tech, it has been for a while that the ecosystem has been constantly changing. Like I remember, we were when I was in Comely Media, we were resellers for Facebook in India. So we launched the Facebook business in India, and we were selling Facebook in India. So at that point in time, also to just convince the ecosystem what Facebook was, from there to where we are today, where Facebook has set up an entire team in India, and the ecosystem is growing. It's phenomenal, the journey.
Yeah. In fact, if you really want to build a product for future, they say that test it out with marketeers, because they are always ahead of time, right? They are always looking to initiate by that smaller margin, and they're keen to make that try and see how it goes.
Absolutely. But these days, it's difficult for marketers to switch from Google properties and Facebook properties, because they have been very dependent on that.
That's a big risk also. I personally feel that a lot of my demand flow comes from these platforms. But then there is some kind of stagnation in that. It's not growing the way we expected, because business needs are constantly growing. They always want 20, 30, 40% year on year growth in terms of demand. But then to grow at that percentage, the cost has to be very high. So
Absolutely.
New platforms come into play. They can bridge that smaller gaps.
Exactly.
So programmatic advertising, right? It has been a concept close to all digital marketers.
Yeah.
How does it exist in today's space, and how do you see it evolving?
So definitely programmatic has evolved in a very big manner. It's right now, I think 80-90% of most of the agencies' budgets comes via programmatic. Only thing is that now it is getting diversified. There are many new platforms along with DV360. Now there is Trade Desk available. There are SSPs like PubMatic, Magnite who have launched into India, and their business is growing. So programmatic advertising is growing very fast. There are different shapes and forms it is taking. There is InMobi which has come in. Also as I told you personally, where the quick commerce platforms are launching their own AI tool to enable advertising. Like Zepto, I think has launched something called as Jarvis. So Jarvis is an AI tool on their platform itself, where you can quickly upload campaign, and the campaign runs across the entire Zepto platform. Similarly, I told you about Jio Ads, where you upload a campaign via WhatsApp, and it automatically runs across the Jio network. So this is the way programmatic and automation is kind of helping even a tier 2, tier 3 advertiser, right? So if you are a shop based in, say, Ahmedabad, Jharkhand, anywhere, today you can just log on to these platforms, simply upload your campaigns, maybe talk to an executive if required, and still, build your programmatic reach and programmatic campaigns. Just a bit of education is required, where generally online tools are available, where most of these companies upload all online educative content to run the campaigns, and that is kind of helping this particular journey.
Right. So, in terms of media diversification, right, your presentation on the diversification of digital budgets,
Yeah.
that discussed on growing importance of data for companies. Uh,
Yeah.
a lot of what we discussed so far relies on data. So, how is that shaping, given that we are operating in different industries, OTT, e-com, gaming, so on and so forth, and
Right.
diverse viewer that has come, that has emerged over last decade because of this geo revolution into internet.
Right.
How is that data piece evolving for both sides, for digital marketeer as well as people on the receiving side of those ads?
I'll just go back again. As I said, the journey started from digital tech in 2008, because that is the time the world started seeing a duopoly coming in. Prior to that, it was pretty a monopolistic market, which was with Google, and Google had search data. And what happened when Facebook came in? They bought specifically two data points which were unique to Facebook, and the data points were age and gender. So whenever you log in to Facebook, you used to upload, because you're there to meet and greet and build a social network. You used to upload age and gender. So what happened during that time? Suddenly, supposingly you're a, HUL, or say you're a Palmolive soap, and you're advertising on search targeting entire audience. So 60-70% of your budget used to be to non-targeted audience. Now when Facebook came in with these two data points, you were able to target age specific. So supposingly you want to target a woman between 25 to 45, and then you want to target only females, right? So your wastage of budgets reduced drastically.
Right.
And you saw globally a lot of budgets being shifted from Google to Facebook. So this was the first journey where two data points led to significant budget shift from Google to Facebook, and suddenly the market became from a monopoly to a duopoly. And how did Google counter that? They bought Orkut and they failed. They launched Google Social, and that also didn't work. And eventually, to get these data points, they launched Gmail.
Yes.
Right. So there you were requested or invited as a Gmail user, and you were asked to register on Gmail with your age and gender. And because you're being invited, it was a great marketing tactic at that point in time. You were like, hey, I'll just register and give my age and gender. But on the back end, they wanted age and gender data so that the marketeers can target campaigns to specifically to you. So this is how it started. Over the period of time, what has happened in India specifically, if you see from 2010 to 2022, 2023, right now, we have seen a growth of e-commerce companies. We have seen growth of fintech, which is very unique to India. We have seen a lot of platforms, growing, like Paytm, Amazon, Flipkart, and all these guys have become significant companies which own data. And they own a very specific kind of data. And as I said, of course, Jio Ads is something which we are building right now. Apart from that, there are OTTs which have grown. Like Hotstar was never existent initially before 2015, but suddenly in 2015 we saw the rise of Hotstar. Flix came into India. So suddenly a lot of tech companies came into India, and they started collecting a lot of data. And this is user registered data. And we are starting to see for the first time, from a duopoly, the market is becoming like a lot of advertising budgets are now shifting to e-commerce. As I said, Zepto just reached 1,000 crores in their advertising revenues. Now everyone is talking about Zepto's gross revenue on the delivery side. 1,000 crores on advertising is a huge revenue. Like, And just imagine, they are not selling it to, agencies. They are selling it to your SMB advertisers. They are selling it to some retailer in your local area who can upload their campaign and run their campaign for, say, 1,000 rupees. And they have thousands of such advertisers, right? So this is the phenomenon which is growing. Similarly, Amazon went ahead and built a global DSP, global demand side platform. So what is happening globally is that keyword searches, which is the USP of Google, is being replaced by product searches, which is what Amazon is coming into, right? Because they have the e-commerce platform. So previously, like, you used to go and search for a particular product by typing it on Google. Nowadays, you don't go to Google search. You go to Amazon and search for it. So keyword searches are being replaced with product searches. So this is a very big trend, and that is leading to a shift in budgets from keyword searches to, product searches. Like in India, Amazon is almost about 8,000 crores in ad revenue already, and Flipkart is close to 6,000 crores, right? So, and this is completely ad revenue. So all these companies which got built in the last 10 years, of course, in 10 years time, their e-commerce business somewhere is starting to saturate, because there is also competition with quick commerce. And we saw Paytm getting competition from GPay and PhonePe now, because they took time to adopt to UPI. So all these, due to these trends, they started diversifying their business. That diversification came from building businesses of ads on data. So like, if you want to target a fintech advertiser, all sell loans today, Paytm does offer you targeted campaigns on their platform. And we do see Amazon offering product searches. As I said, there are two kinds of formats. One is you can target on Amazon Prime or MX Player, or you can target SMB ads on e-commerce platform of Amazon. So through this, there are various revenue channels now which are building away from Google and Facebook. So it's not, and again, as I said, there are platforms like Trade Desk, which is a DSP, which are getting launched into India. So it is very essential for marketers to understand this particular change and adopt their mix according to this particular change. Otherwise, they'll be missing out. Like, we have seen YouTube rates go up by a good 10-15% this year. We are seeing, there was an article, Google CPC rate has gone up by 100% this year. Yeah. So we are seeing these trends which are consistently happening, where if advertisers are not smart to diversify and just put their budgets on one platform, the cost of ads will go up, and eventually your reach to the user will come down, and which will impact your eventual ROI. Right. So all these matrices are definitely getting impacted if advertisers are not diversifying. And at the same time, like, I'll give you a very, if you have like 2 minutes,
Yeah, please.
I'll just give you a very typical example between three fintech platforms. One is GPay, one is PhonePe, and one is Cred. Now, the conversion rate of anything on Cred is 4 to 5x higher than on GPay and PhonePe. Why? Because Cred has introduced Cred coins. So every user who goes to Cred mostly has Cred coins. So while in GPay and PhonePe, you don't have their coins or something, right? So every user who goes to Cred has some of the other Cred coins. So probability of them converting and using their Cred coins is much higher. So even on similar platforms, every company has adopted very different strategies. And Cred has been very smart. Like, Cred also has a, ads business, which is completely dependent on coupons, right, and it's growing very fast. So we are seeing trends of, businesses of ads being built on Cred, PhonePe. Like, there is a business of PhonePe ads which is there, Flipkart ads which is there, Amazon ads which is there, which most of the students or marketers are not aware of, right? And maybe if they have a unique product which they want to market and build on that, it is very critical to, form these alliances, or, reach out to these platforms, because it will give you very efficient ROI. Like, how do you sell? Supposingly you have a product on Cred. How do you sell on Cred? Basically, you give a user a coupon. So it is a definitive sale. Right. So for advertisers who is looking, so like, say, Domino's or any Zook bag, or, Mukubura, all these bags, they can just go to Cred and say, take this coupon and give it to your user. It's a definitive sale. You don't need to spend on CPCs on Facebook and Google and, wait for the sale to happen. But many of these users are definitely going to Cred, and they are definitely getting a conversion. Right. So, an advertiser needs to be smart about what platforms are coming in, what are they using. And most of the platforms do have ads right now. Like, Zepto has ads, Zomato has ads, Blinkit has ads. So most of these platforms have ad as a revenue channel.
And another thing is the user behavior on these platforms, because the user is very action driven. They are not
Right.
on the platform forever. They are there
Absolutely.
5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes. So the likelihood of getting sponsored ad clicked and converted is very high,
Yeah.
because you don't really spot that you're being given a sponsored link. So yes, that is a good white space. So to target
Right.
product, match your product with the right platform and force
Right.
that ownership. So if Sandeep has to do a crystal ball gazing today for Google Ads or Meta Ads, how do you see it evolving next 5 years? Would we be talking about things like, yes, we discussed it 5 years ago that app ecosystem is going to take over, and it has. Do you see them significantly? Because the way Google is doubling their CPC, it shows that it feels like it's a sunset product, which is in a cash cow stage now. Milk as much money as you want because you can see that it's going to be over soon. Does it feel like that, or it's just a guess?
It again depends. As I said, we are in a constantly evolving ecosystem. What happens tomorrow is something, as I said, suddenly they'll come up with a product which gives you phenomenal traffic. Like, Geo launched Geosphere just now, and the kind of traffic uplift we have seen from Geosphere is very phenomenal. Today, if an advertiser comes to us and says, we want to buy good traffic from you on a display, we would be the happiest to give it to them, at a really good price. And they can really get good ROI as well from the network. So I think it is very, we'll have to wait and see how the overall dynamics play out. But Google keeps constantly evolving. You have seen the evolution of Google News, like which is on the Android ecosystem. You just swipe it and Google News comes in. So now that is competing with the ecosystem of, say, Daily Hunt, News and Shorts. And suddenly you see a lot of traffic coming in from Google News to publishers, right? So they are also constantly evolving in terms of how do we control the ecosystem, because they have Android with them. They have Google search with them. And they have also bought a stake in many companies, like they have a stake in Glance, they have a stake in Flipkart. So they are constantly, because now they were they were competing with Amazon on, as I said, keyword and product searches. So they went ahead and bought a stake in Flipkart. So many of these kind of alliances are happening. Many of them, might not be public or might not be disclosed, but you will hear definitely whenever there is a big investment happening. They have an investment in Glance, as I said. So they are buying stakes in these companies, which are you're looking at growth, and which are definitely looking at taking up the Indian ecosystem as for advertising. Of course, they can't take up a share from, say, competitor directly, but yeah, indirectly they are forming a lot of alliances and doing that.
Great. So my last question to you, Sandeep, will be from that learning point of view. Let's take case of two marketeers. One is a person who is new, fresh, but wants to build a career in digital marketing. And second is a person who is, let's say, 10, 15 years of experience and wants to renew his or her career for another 15 years. How should they approach this landscape changes?
I think the approach should be the same, Prashant. One of the things even I'm trying to do today, and one of the reasons I'm on LinkedIn most of the time, is I'm trying to learn from students what I need to do. It's
Mhm.
not the other way around, right? The reason also I go to colleges is basically to understand from the youth what they are doing. And there are many interesting colleges who are building incubation centers for their students, who are actually getting sponsorship from government to fund their student startups,
Right.
right? So a lot of interesting trends are happening, and somewhere, as I said, because they are young and they don't have a lot of challenges, and we are older, I think it is both ways that we need to learn from each other. Of course, we are looking at things at a bird's eye view, but they are looking at problems of their colleagues, their students, and they are more in tune with the market, and they are more in tune with the product. Like I have seen students learning Python at a very young age and building their own startups at the age of 18, 19. You saw the Oyo founder, right? He was like almost 19 when he built Oyo. So, honestly, it is both ways. It is not, and the approach will be the same. Today, all of us are sailing in the same boat. Right? The best thing about AI is it doesn't matter whether you're 15 or you're 70. You can still start a startup, you can still be successful, and you can still go out there and, make a new journey. And that's what I think all of us need to kind of adopt to. And because of that, I generally tell students to focus on their mindset. One of the mindset that I educate a lot about is nothing to lose mindset. In any situation that you're getting into in life, think that there's nothing to lose and you will always end up winning. Right. So this is one thing which is definitely a psychological mindset. It has helped me a lot because I have also switched from a salesperson to a supply side business head. And, I have been a country manager at Outbrain, handled various roles. Then again, at the age of 33, I decided to go into go into ISB, do my PGP Max.
Hmm.
And now I am also not exactly trying to be an academic professor, but I love teaching students. So I do keep going to colleges and
Yeah, in fact, today colleges are coming up with very different types of flexibilities. My alma mater, Bits Pilani, they have come up with this 1 year break for startups. So if you want to do a startup in your undergrad, you can take 1 year break, start your come back, complete your education, and keep going. Those type of flexibilities are now coming, which was not there earlier. It was very rigid academic ecosystem, but now you flexibility happening here. Yes, yeah, exactly. I mean, 20 years ago, probably that was not the go-to option, but today India has opened up big time when it comes to B2B. A lot of companies you mentioned, Salesforce is definitely one of them, which is setting trends. And I mean, there is no lack of opportunity, so to say. You know as much as you want. Obviously, I mean, in B school, one thing that you learn stays is like STP, 4Ps, etc. But the way the game is played is constantly changing, and you have to play the game. It has to be played. So execution is king in marketing and sales as well. And thank you for coming. I mean, that was the whole idea of starting Revenue Beacon, is to bring people who are actually driving revenue in today's environment. And in B schools, you always get to learn what happened 15, 20 years ago. You need to learn what is happening today as well. And experts like you bring that perspective and the breadth that is needed. So yeah, it's great to host you. 42 minutes, did not realize. So joining today. It's lovely talking.